I was alienated from my father for almost 2 decades. My parents divorced when I was 2 and my older sister was 5, and we did weekend visitations with him on and off for about 5 years. And then when I was 7, my sister and I got together, wrote letters to tell my dad that we never wanted to see him again, and so he was completely cut out from our lives for, it was either 17 or 18 years. And my mom exhibited during and after the divorce a lot of the typical alienating behaviors where we weren't allowed to talk about our dad. She used us to spy on him and report back what happened during visitations, bad-mouthing him, telling us that he never really wanted us or loved us. And I was made to feel really guilty or shamed whenever I brought him up in conversation, so I just kind of learned not to. And then it took until about our mid-20s where my sister reached out to me to reconnect with our dad. And right now I would say that I don't have a close relationship with either parent, but I am glad that I've been through the reconnection process with my dad, just to see who he is as a person and see what of him reflects in me. Even though he wasn't there for my childhood, I can see parts of him that are very much a part of me. In that project, I interviewed both alienated parents and alienated adult children about their relational trajectories with their alienated parent-child bond across the lifespan. So I took a broad approach and really wanting to see how the parent-child relationship was impacted across time. And so I used a communication method, which is called turning point analysis, where my participants were asked to plot a turning point graph where they would think of critical incidents or events, experiences, conversations that happened within the relationship, within the parent-child alienated relationship, that impacted their feelings of closeness with the other person in that relationship. And so the x-axis on the graph was time, and then the y-axis was how close they felt with the parent or child. And they were instructed to plot the critical incidents or the turning points of the relationship across time. And they started with their baseline, their first memory of how close they felt, which a lot of parents reported birth. And then all the critical incidents were jotted down and labeled on the graph, and then it ended with how close they felt in their relationship today. And so at the end, not only was I able to analyze the specific turning point events, the communicative events that impacted the feelings of closeness between parent and child over the relationship, but I was also able to analyze the relational patterns, so the trajectories across time of what these relationships look like over the lifespan of the relationship. We had a phone interview or a Zoom interview where we went through each individual turning point event, and I was able to ask further questions about what that experience was like for the parent or child, how did it impact their closeness in their relationship, and just what was the experience like. I was able to find turning points that decreased feelings of closeness and increased feelings of closeness. So if we're talking about reunification and reconnection and repairing that parent-child bond, we want to look at the turning points that increased feelings of closeness and say, let's maximize those. Let's find ways to exhibit those in our relationships and use communication as a tool to increase closeness, even when maybe physical closeness isn't apparent or the relationship is strained in some way. I do believe it's important to talk to parents who haven't reconnected yet and get those trajectories of what that looks like for those parents. I do believe that's important, but for this study I focused on they had been alienated and they had reconnected. And then we can compare the graphs to see exactly where does it align, where does it not align, what are the differences in experiences, and then being able to educate both the parents and the adult child the different perspectives and the experiences. So even though you're going through the same thing, you're experiencing them from very different perspectives. When I started my PhD in communication, I was not aware of alienation or that it had occurred in my life. I think I've always just been drawn to understanding families because I knew from a young age there was something off with my family. There was something that just didn't feel right to me, and I wanted to understand not only what was wrong, but how did it impact me as a person. I started to dig a little bit deeper into my actual experiences and my parents' divorce, and found the term parental alienation, realized the impact that it's had on my life and my relationships with my parents and my relationship with my sister and other family members, and finding this literature and just wanting to add to it, wanting to be a part of that narrative of building up children's experiences and helping them along this journey and helping alienated parents along the journey as well. I believe I'm the first, if not one of the first, communication scholars to really focus on alienation, and I think with my dissertation it really showed just the amounts and the ability that communication research has to deepen our understanding of parental alienation as a family trauma, as a family system dynamic, and as a communicative experience across the lifespan. I do believe parental alienation research would benefit from interdisciplinary scholarship, and because communication as a social scientific field is so new, I think that just opens the door to any scholar who would like to work with me so that we can further and deepen our understanding of parental alienation, not just through a psychological lens, not just through a legal lens, but through these massive social scientific and then specific communication lenses. As an alienated child myself, it's hard to participate in research. We were just on a panel full of people who have lived experiences of parental alienation, and it's so real, it's so traumatizing, it hurts to talk about. And so to ask other adult children to participate, I completely empathize with them that it's not something that maybe they feel is accessible or that they want to participate in, but figuring out ways for these alienated children, adult children's voices to be heard, I think is something that is going to be a lifelong goal of mine.